So today we are going to discuss about equipment management. So, overall, if we talk about the course of good laboratory practices, the course is once again, I would like to share that the course is meant that whatever we are doing, we can do in a standardized way, so we can have a better outcome. We can have the results which are reliable, which could be reproducible, and that could benefit the people. We are doing this course, and why we go for the good laboratory practices is only that we can follow the standardized protocols, so we can get uh, similar kind of results. We can get very good results, which are reproducible and which can have a better outcome. So this is our overall purpose of having this course. One of the component which is like we have talked before about the laboratory setup to some extent, and the training of the professionals, the people who are working, the responsibilities of those people. And one of the component which is also very important is the equipment management. That how you manage your equipments, what kind of equipments are needed, what kind of training is needed, how you actually develop the standard operating procedures for your equipment, operational procedures, as well as how you can also go for cleaning of your equipment. So that's also very. And the last component is if like your component is outdated, how you dispose of those equipment. So all the things, there should be proper SOPs that we have to follow for our equipment as well, just like we have discussed for rest of the things that, including the biosafety and other aspects related to the laboratory. So today we are going to discuss about the equipment management. And as I mentioned, this is also equally important that uh, we should manage our equipment in a proper way. So, proper equipment management is essential for ensuring the accuracy, reliability, and safety of laboratory operations. And this is what we are always looking for good laboratory practices. So, this presentation will cover about establishing standard operating procedures or SOPs, procurement, and disposal procedures, protocols for the equipment. This is what we are going to discuss in this brief presentation. So let's start with the let's start with the importance of equipment management. So why it is so important that we should manage our equipments. One of the things which we discussed in our previous lectures as well is the consistency, that there should be consistent use and maintenance of equipment that actually use the reliable and reproducible results. It's very important that we could maintain the equipment. Actually, what happens in our most of the laboratories that we couldn't actually maintain the equipment. That's why there is always variation in the results. So once we run the experiment and we can get like results in a good range, and afterwards we are not getting those results. So whenever there is a deviation, and any expert who is actually working on those equipments, he can have a better understanding, like running the if he's running that experiment and he's running the equipment, then he can have a very good idea that there is like fluctuation in the results, and now they should go for like proper checking of the equipment if there is why there is like change in the results, what is the fault there. So consistency is very important. Then we go for like efficiency, streamline processes for procurement, inventory, and maintenance that improve our workflow and uh, uh, productivity. So this is like we are also going to discuss in very much detail about the efficiency of our workflow that we are doing in the laboratory. And last thing is about the safety. So proper handling, storage, and disposal of equipment that minimize risk to the personal and also all the other people who are working in the laboratory. So safety is also very important. Safety is of two ways, just like we had discussed in our previous lectures. One is the safety of the equipment. So if equipment is we should run in a way that it actually our protocols shouldn't damage the equipment, like how we are cleaning it. For example, if we are working in a biosafety cabinet, so there is a proper SOP. There should be proper SOPs that what kind of detergent or what kind of uh, chemical we have to use to sterilize the equipment, or what kind to actually disinfect the equipment. There are so many procedures that we can follow for proper cleaning of the equipment. Either we are going to use some soap, either we are going to use ethanol, isopropanol, or we are using chloroform, we are using whatever, we are using bleach, for example. So it's very important that we should have understanding what we are going to use, because some of the chemicals that we are using, for example, if we are going to use the bleach, then it can actually disturb the surfaces of the equipment. So the things that we are going to use for the cleaning, for example, is very very important. So we can ensure like proper functioning of the equipment and also the safety of the equipment. So on one side, we are also going for the safety of the equipment, and on the other side, we ensure that if equipment will be working safely, then we will also be safe from the hazards of those equipment. For example, whatever we are going to use in the laboratories, there are so many equipment. For example, if we are using the sonicators, if we are using the centrifuges, if we are going to use the pipers, what they do, if they are not properly working, for example, if we are have a protocol and that says that we should use the safety cups, and we are not using the safety cup in the centrifuge, then what can happen, during the centrifugation process, it can produce the aerosols. And those aerosols, if they are from a contaminated samples, they can go into the air, and then they can go into our respiratory system. So it's very very important that we should properly use the equipments, and that ensures actually the safety of the equipment on the one side, and also the safety of the personals who are dealing with those equipment. So this is like these are good laboratory practices are actually, it's not a very hard science. It's mainly about common sense things, that how we use, what protocols we are following, and what SOPs we have set, and using those SOPs. Then it's very very important. For the laboratory, SOPs are very very important. Just like we have discussed that last lectures, that who are working in the laboratory, what is the role of principal investigator, what is the role of the principal scientist, what are the role of the people who are assisting those scientists. So there is also proper SOPs for them, and there are proper SOPs for all the procedures you are doing. For example, if you are going to use for example, mycobacterium samples, then SOP says that you shouldn't open those tubes on the benches. You should open only inside the biosafety cabinet. So this is the SOP that you have to set. And if you are not following those SOPs, and if you are working on open benches, then there are chances of contamination in the laboratory. And that can also be hazardous for the personnel who are working inside the laboratory. So that's why we set like SOPs. And in SOPs, the first important thing is the documentation. Documentation is what we says that we have the documentation of all the SOPs. We have documented those. So these are the detailed written instructions for equipment use, maintenance, and troubleshooting. So this lecture is specifically about the equipment. That's why, and documentation of the equipment is also very important. So there should be like written instructions if you are using some sophisticated equipment. For example, if you are using the ultracentrifuge in the laboratory, or if you are using a PCR machine, or if you are using the gel documentation system, or if you are using the biosafety cabinet, there are properly written procedures for them. So you have to follow those SOPs. For example, the SOP says that you have to turn on the UV light before running the biosafety cabinet. Then you have to turn it on for like half an hour, and then you switch it off, and then you start working. SOP says that while you are using the UV light, you have to put the front glass that should be like totally cover the equipment. So this is what you have to follow. So these are like These are the first thing is the documentation. These are the written instruction that should be available, whatever, and they are mostly like we put those instruction beside the equipment. Then the other thing is about the accessibility. So these are the SOPs should be readily available to all the lab personals and for reference and training. So there should be accessibility of all those SOPs, and they should be available to all the personal. Like if somebody is using the equipment, they could like log in to some like they can book the equipment. That's one way. Another is like they can put a cheat on the equipment that from this time to this time I'm going to use certain equipment inside the laboratory. And then there is also like SOP for the standardization. That's very, very important. So there should be consistent practice, ensure equipment is used and cared in the same way and working in a standard form. So we have to like standardize the equipment working. This is like I was also mentioning in my previous slide that we should ensure that it should be standardized. It should be working in the same way. Like if you're using going to use on the first day, and if you are going to use on like 15 day or after a month, then you should it should be consistently working, and that we have to ensure if there is like any change that we are going to discuss, then we have to change the protocols. And it's also very, very important. This slide is like it's very important for all of you, and it is about the preventive maintenance and calibration. Preventive maintenance. What is the preventive maintenance? Preventive maintenance, is the maintenance that you do so we actually uh, don't get any fault in the equipment. The operation of the equipment can be disturbed at any time, but we do the like preventive maintenance. We check it time to time, so it should be operational. It should be consistent. It should give similar kind of results. So this is like we do the preventive maintenance. For example, I'm having all the equipment in my own laboratory. So I do the like checking of all these equipment and maintenance. I check like if there is any problem in the wires, in the plugs, or in the display, or anything. If like there is a faulty UV light, I can replace that. So I should get the consistent results. So this is all about the preventive maintenance and calibration. So first of the thing which is very, very important is the inspection. So this is about the regular check for wear, damage, and malfunction to identify potential issues. So this is like regularly you check any damage to your equipment, whatever equipment you are using. If there is any damage, sometimes it happens like you are putting the tubes and tubes get stuck inside a centrifuge. It can get stuck inside a PCR machine. So you have to remove it, and during removal, maybe that actually hole in which you have put those tubes, that might be damaged, or that could have uh, a bad shape. So if it is in bad shape, for example, then if for the PCR machine, it's very, very important the heating and cooling system. If shape is changed of the PCR machine, then what can happen? It can like your all rest of your tools may get the good results, but one with the bad shape, you will not get those good results. There could be like even if the sample could be positive, it can give a false negative results. So like this can happen. That's why it's very, very important that we can check for any wear or damage to our equipment. Cleaning is very, very important, and proper cleaning technique extend the lifespan and performance of equipment. So it's very, very important that we should do the proper cleaning. It's very, very important, especially in your diagnostic laboratories. You are using so many equipments, and the cleaning of equipment is very, very important. We are running the samples, we are doing the certification all the time. Sometimes there is a spill, it can go inside the tube in which you are putting your falcon tubes. So it can actually change in the weight of that area. So for example, if there is a spill, if there is a blood that has gone inside the tube, then the weight will be disturbed. So on one side you have to put like 14 ml, and on the other side you might have to put like 10 ml, and then it will be balanced. And if there is not a balance, then actually it uh, it is very damaging for the equipment. So it's very, very important. You should like learn how to do the cleaning, especially inside the equipment. Similar is the case with the weigh balance. I have a weigh balance. I think I took into another laboratory, so I was not cleaning that, and what happened? The dirt actually got stuck in uh, beneath the surface area where we put our the samples for the weight purpose. What happened actually? Even like I was checking. Okay, I was like putting 2 gram, and it was this much on the top of. But it is like I put more sample, and it is equal to 2 grams. So I checked it with another weighing balance, and then I found that it is giving the faulty results. So that's why it's very, very important that we should do cleaning. Like all the equipment, we have to do the cleaning properly. It shouldn't be like over cleaning. Sometimes we, just like we have a practice in our government setups that we have the people who are doing the cleaning purpose. We ask them to clean all the time, and they are rubbing the surfaces of the equipment, and then they damage those equipment. So it's not like that. Whenever it is needed, we should do the cleaning. So inspection is very important, then cleaning is important, and after cleaning there could be change in the results. Like uh, cleaning, you might have like put something you are using, for example ethanol, or you are using some other like liquid, and it has gone inside the equipment and it is not giving the proper results. Then the other important thing is you have to use the calibration. So after cleaning, for example, you have a pH meter and you have done the cleaning. So we have to do, for a pH meter, we have to do cleaning all the time. We should clean it with water, so we can like remove all those chemicals, and it can like affect the results. It can affect the pH of the next sample we are going to do the pH. So if we have like done the cleaning, and afterwards it's very, very important that we should do the calibration, and this is like very much important in case of equipment. So we have to ensure accuracy and precision through systematic calibration against calibrated about non-standard. So it's very important that we should have like the non-standard with us, and we do the calibrations of our equipment. So first thing is inspection. You have done the inspection. All of you are the leaders in your laboratories, so you should like regularly inspect your all the equipments, your autoclave. You should do the inspection. Most of the time, we get fault in the autoclave, so you should check your autoclave because it could be very dangerous if like there is some problem in the autoclave machine. So autoclave, you have PCR machines, you have biosafety cabinets, you have the like pH meter, you have the balance. So for all those equipment, you should do the inspection. And if there is some problem, you should do the cleaning. And after cleaning, it's important that we should also do once again the calibration. We can like do the comparisons, and then we have done the calibration, and then we can use it once again. So, and even for these, you can, if you are not doing it regularly, then you can like do it after a month. So you can set a date that in your SOPs that I'll do the inspection, cleaning, calibration after a month. So you have SOPs in your laboratory, and you can mark the date. You can put a chart, just like you have seen in washrooms, that for every day they have like SOPs that they have to check if there is a water supply, if there is a soap there, if there are towels there, if there are napkins there. So for everything, uh, they have the check. Similarly, you can like put a checklist in your laboratory after a month. You are going to do the inspection of your equipment. You can do the cleaning, and you can also do the calibration. This is how we can even like can get a better results for our test we are doing in the laboratory. And then comes the inventory management and tracking. Inventory management is very, very important for all of your laboratories. You're also you have to get like the equipments as well as all the other related stuff for your laboratory, like all the disposables and other things. So for equipment, the most important thing is cataloging. In your laboratory, you should have a proper catalog. So for this, we have to maintain a comprehensive, up-to-date catalog of equipment and their location inside the laboratory. So we must know that where our equipment is located and what is the nature of equipment. So sometimes like we have multiple equipment, so we should have like if we have multiple PCR machines sitting in room A and then in room B, then we should have a proper catalog of all the equipment that we should have in our laboratory. Then comes the monitoring. So we have to regularly review usage patterns and identify uh, underlies unutilized or outdated equipment. So this is another thing is that we have to monitor the things and we have to check that which equipment are underutilized or outdated. And for those, for outdated equipment, we then also follow SOP that either we are going to put into the storage room or we are going to like sell it or we are going to donate it to some other institute. Then come the traceability. We have to track maintenance record, calibration date, and usage history of each of the equipment we are using. So we should like have a traceability that when we have, just like I mentioned, that we can do it after a month, then we should have the understanding. For example, for your biosafety cabinet, you have to go for like calibration after every 6 months. So you should call a person. Date should be written. You should have the traceability. Some like you are using some software or you are using a paper for that. You are keeping record of that, and then you should have a traceability that you have done. For example, the calibration of your biosafety cabinet 6 months ago, and then the date is coming, and then you have to do it once again. Then last thing is the allocation. So we should ensure fair and efficient distribution of equipment based on the research needs. So this is also like important that where we are putting those equipments, they are also distribution is also very important. That the placement of all those equipment. If we are like normally what we do for the diagnostic laboratories, we have the PCR machines in a separate room because if we are putting those in like open laboratory, then there are chances of contamination, there are chances of false negative or false positive results. That's why we put those PCR machines in a separate room that is like adjacent to the main working laboratory. Or we prepare the samples inside in another cabinet, which is like adjacent to the PCR machine. So this is how like we put the equipment. Then we like ensure that our biosafety cabinet is not adjacent to the door of the laboratory because it is if it is just next to the door, then the airflow pattern inside the biosafety cabinet they will be disturbed. So normally, if we have a door on one side, the biosafety cabinet is just on the very opposite side of the lavatory. It's far away from the door and on the other side. So we minimize the airflow, change in airflow pattern of our biosafety cabinet. So this is like management and tracking. We should have understanding that we should have proper catalogs of our equipment. We have the monitoring of those, and then we should have the traceability, and we should have the understanding and about the allocation of all those equipment. Then they here come you have seen this cartoon generated by AI. This is very like a very tedious process is understanding that which chemicals or which disposable equipments or which things are about to finish and what we have to go into. Some laboratories they get on as per the demand, like whenever there is some equipment or disposable things they are about to finish, they get it. Another have a protocol of like purchase after every 6 months or after a year, maybe after 2 years. So it very much depends that what is the load in your laboratory and how you have to do it. So procurement and purchasing protocols, we need first thing is the need of assessment. So we have to carefully evaluate equipment requirements based on research objectives and workflow. So we should have the understanding that what is the workflow and what are the objective of our research. Or if you are in a diagnostic laboratory, then you should have the understanding like if you are going to work on HIV or HPV or HCV or on tuberculosis, whatever like test you are doing, what is the load, and accordingly you have to buy your equipments and all the disposables. So the important thing is the assessment. We have to do a regular assessment of our laboratory. Another important thing is the budgeting. So this is also like you should have the understanding. Budgeting is very, very, especially in Pakistani perspective. Sometime you want to establish a laboratory, but you don't have much budget, but you want to run the protocols and you want to follow the GLP. Then you have to dwell the way. For example, if you're going to buy new equipment, it may cost you around, for example, 4 million rupees. And if you're going to use a used one, but then it may cost you like half a million rupees. So you can buy a half a million, but the important thing is it should be working properly. It should be calibrated. If it is as per the need of your protocols, it is as per the need of your laboratory requirement, then you can use it. There is no problem in using that equipment. Only important thing is the calibration, the standardization. So it should be like calibrated. It should be properly, there should be calibration of all the things. For example, if it is a biosafety cabinet, the new one you can get in 5 millions, but a used one you can get in a million rupees. Then you should do the calibration. Okay, you should like check the lux, so you can like see the light intensity of your equipment. Then you can check the protocol for the UV light. It is really killing the germs or not. So there is a proper protocol for that. You can also check for airflow, that what is the airflow. If it is like change in the airflow, then you can't use that. So if it is like standardized, you can use that. And then verification, confirm equipment specification and delivery timeline and vendor availability. Uh, this is also very important, for the purchase. Some of the equipment you can get it very easily. Some of those, even for the chemicals, it takes a lot of time to get those. So you have to like check everything. Sometimes like that's why you have to do the assessment as well, and then you have to check with your vendor. For example, you are using some specific kits and like they are working fine, but if you have to get those kits and that your vendor is getting those from US or that is getting from Germany, it may take like 6 months in Pakistan to get those kits. So you have like do the assessment in advance. It's also like it's part of your GLP, good laboratory practice, that you should have the understanding. Okay, I have 100 kits now, and they will be used in like 6 months. Then you have to place the order 6 months before for the next kits, so you can get those on time. This is about the uh, procurement, and next thing which we are going to discuss about the labeling, storage, and disposal procedures. This is like what we are going to discuss in our all the lectures, that you have to do the proper labeling and then storage and disposal. So labeling is clear, standardized labeling help identify equipment and track usage. So labeling is very, very important. Whatever equipment, in all the laboratories, it's very important that even for the inspection purpose, whenever they are going to inspect your laboratories, everything should be labeled inside the laboratory. Like if you have put some kits in the drawer, it should be written on the drawer that these are hepatitis B kits are sitting here, C kits are sitting here, PCR kits are sitting at low temperature, and even like you are using the fridge in the laboratory, it should be written on the fridge that is fridge. It is CO2 incubator, it's a simple incubator, it's hot plate, it's oven, it's PCR machine, whatever equipment you are using, we should properly label it. So any person can identify, okay, this is the equipment you are using inside the laboratory. Then come the storage. Then we should have proper storage condition to prevent damage and maintain the performance. Storage is very, very important, and where you are putting those equipment. So for the storage, if it is like very humid area, you have put your equipment in the basement, and in basement there is seepage, there is leakage. and there's a lot of humidity there that can damage your equipment. So it's very, very important that how you are actually storing your. In Pakistan, one of the biggest thing, and that is against that we have to check for the good laboratory practices. In Pakistan, our air quality index outside is not very good. Even inside the buildings, the air quality index is not very good. So if you are not using the air purifier inside the laboratory, you know the dust is very much coming inside the laboratory. So if you have a even in the laptop, you have seen that dust is always there on your laptops, and dust is not very good for your equipments. It can damage the equipment. It's on the equipment. It go inside the equipment. It damage the performance of your equipment. So this is like what you have to see in Pakistan. So if you have like window, you have to cover. You should have the proper air conditioning inside the. You have to clean the filters after. For example, we have a like air conditioning unit up in this room, and there is proper SOP that they have to change the filter after every 6 months. So they change the filter after every six. So it ensures that no dust is coming inside the laboratory. If you have like doors and the dust is still coming, then you can use some, and there are I don't know what exactly they are called, but we are using those things at the home under the door. So you can like put those things under the door. I'm sure you remember that, but I don't remember right now. But those kind of things we can put so we ensure that the dust is not very much coming inside the laboratory. So that's also very important. And then comes the disposal. So we have to follow safety protocols and environmental regulations for responsible equipment disposal. The equipment disposal, if it is you are working in a incubator and you have put the TB samples, you have put the other like pathogen samples there, then disposal says that you have to clean it. You have to ensure that it's properly cleaned and then you have to dispose it. If you are like not cleaning it properly and disposing it, it is against the law, and it shouldn't be like that. So you should if you are going to retire some equipment, you can retire it and then you have to clean it properly and then you can put into a storage room and then either like you are going to export it to some other country or donate to a laboratory or whatever you are going to do, but you have to clean it properly because you know that how you have to clean it. Then come the training and competency assessment. So comprehensive training is very, very important. This is what we have discussed in our previous lecture, so I think there is no need to discuss that in detail. And knowledge sharing and competency evaluation, this is also very important. So we have the training of the personals who are using those equipments properly. We should properly train those, so to ensure that they can use the equipment properly. And then there are troubleshootings and repair strategies. We should uh, normally we have person, we have biomedical engineer which are responsible for the troubleshooting and repair strategies. So we should have a person in link with us, so we can call those person which can help us to repair our equipment and can help us to do the troubleshooting. Normally there is there can be diagnostic procedures for the troubleshootings. What are the root cause of equipment issues? So we follow those, and then we have the repair documentations. Uh, so it's also very important that we should know that when we have done the report, if we have to change the filter, for example, in a biosafety cabinet, when we have done it, and so we have proper documentation of that. And then we can also get the outsourcing support, uh, collaborate with the equipment manufacturers, and they can provide the services. So this is what we do when we buy some costly equipment. So lastly, there is a continuous improvement and adaptation. So we should first thing is we should have proper feedback and review. We should regularly assess the effectiveness of equipment management practices and identify areas for improvement. So there is always room for improvement. We have to check. We should have proper feedback of the personnel who are working. Then there is the other point that I have like mock thread is very, very important. That is the technological advancement. So the software, there is a change in the software after like every 6 months, and even the new versions of the equipment. For example, for PCRs, there are the latest versions are very much coming. Now we are using the microfluidic technologies. Even in the future, we are using some advanced version. For all those, we also have the uh, for example, of the software also. All the persons who are working with those equipment, they should have the technological understanding that, and they should learn that the new software is very much coming, and then adaptability. So we have to evolve equipment management and accommodate change in the research workflow. This is what we are actually doing. So we have to adopt the new things, and we have to bring new protocols. We have to learn those protocols. We have to learn new softwares. We have to learn about the upgradation. I think the time is very much up for the. So whatever questions you have, you can send me on WhatsApp, and I will try my best to answer those questions. And I have already shared the slides of this lecture with you.